Today, there's nothing more important than trying to contain the problem of global warming. And to do that, we cannot afford not to pay attention to agriculture. If we want to just achieve a fairly conservative objective in this sector, which is to stop this sector adding more by the middle of the century, then we have to take quite radical steps, because the natural dynamic is that as populations get richer, they almost universally consume more animal products. In the global context at the moment, this argument really, in a way, focuses on China, because China is the biggest increaser in meat consumption. It's doubling every 10 years. The population of pigs and chickens in China is doubling every 10 years. These are monogastric animals. They don't create a greenhouse gas problem in terms of methane release, but they do create environmental problems because they have to be fed. And the feedstuffs have to come from global sources, and they come from soybean production in Brazil, which comes from deforestation and so on. If the rich countries keep on consuming at their high level, and countries like China come up to our high level, then the situation will be much worse, and that will make it very much more difficult to achieve global warming targets overall.
So it's rather strange that most governments only focus on quick fixes, like taxes on gas guzzlers. Certainly when you realize that research shows that in a year, a cow in the Netherlands will produce just as many greenhouse gas emissions as a car that drives 70,000 kilometers. 70,000 kilometers. This means driving around the globe more than 1.5 times. In a medium-sized car, I should add. The image we get to see of global warming is always so one-sided. We only get to see factory chimneys and traffic jams. Where are the public information campaigns about the relationship between carbon emissions and eating meat? I certainly haven't seen them yet in the Netherlands, despite the fact that we slaughter 500 million animals here each year. Animals, however, discover exactly what factory farming is very early on in their lives. Piglets, for example, are castrated without anesthetic. Their tails are docked. They are forced to live in dark concrete stalls and usually only see daylight when they are taken to slaughter. It's not much different for other factory-farmed animals. Take laying hens, for example. They are crammed into battery cages and their beaks are trimmed to stop them from pecking one another. Since 2006, I have represented the Party for the Animals in the Dutch Parliament, and I strive to put an end to these kind of practices. But my work doesn't just stop at animal welfare. It's only recently that the Dutch Environmental Agency has sounded the alarm at the speed at which we are exhausting the earth and its resources. The Netherlands uses 4 times its own surface area to produce what we consume. Think of it like a buffet. We are heaping up our plates with enough food to feed 4 people, which means that there will be not enough left for those at the back of the queue. 1 billion people on our planet suffer from obesity, while elsewhere 1 billion people go to bed hungry every night. Something is seriously askew, and we should really talk about it. Right now, half of the total global wheat harvest is used as livestock feed to support our meat and dairy consumption. Half of the entire harvest, while at the same time people in poor countries are starving. And there doesn't seem to be an end to this. We keep on consuming more and more and more, and in the future we'll have to exploit other people's natural resources even more than we do now. And this will be at the expense of those people, clean water, clean air, and also our environment. So let me sum this up for you. Scientists say that it simply takes far more land and energy to produce animal protein than plant-based ones. To produce animal products, you need up to 10 times as much land as needed to produce vegetable products. And this is due to the fact that all this land is needed to produce feed for these billions of farm animals. Films like An Inconvenient Truth have made a very important contribution to the debate on global warming. Yet the only cow that I saw on screen symbolized little else picture-perfect youth in Tennessee. In the whole Inconvenient Truth, not a single word was said about livestock farming or the impact of this polluting industry. Dr. Steinfeld, how is it possible that livestock doesn't play a role in the discussion about global warming?
Well, I think that the fact is that in the climate change discussion, much of the focus is on carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide emissions, if you look at the livestock sector, only make up about 1/3 of the total greenhouse gas emissions. Nitrous oxides and methane don't come very strongly into the debate, but they are much more potent in terms of greenhouse gases than carbon dioxide, and they need to be factored in.
But Al Gore didn't say one single word about the livestock industry in his documentary. What do you think? Didn't you miss the aspect as well?
It is certainly missing. The entire aspect of food is missing. And I think everyone needs to know that food and agriculture contributes to climate change and has environmental impact. And one needs to make choices if one wants to be environmentally friendly that are in line with the environmental impact of producing various types of food.
Well, I think he should have said something about it. Have you ever tried to convince him?
Well, I'm not someone who knows Al Gore personally. I think that at my level, publishing results and talking at conferences and talking to the media, such as in this case, is all I can do.
Well, thank you. He doesn't know it either. So I went to the United States to find an answer to this question. Unfortunately, Al Gore was busy, but I did manage to speak to some other people who had quite a bit to say on the subject.